I was miserable from the start. It was sort of one of these like entry level office back end finance jobs. I think I was making like $32,000 a year. It was very bland. The office space, it was very like beige and cubicles and just kind of depressing. And I remember walking around that office, taking that in, that there was no life to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I spend all my time. And I quickly learned that this wasn't for me. And what came after that thought is what is for me.
When my heart stops, not a second sooner, I'm gonna finish what I've begun. 'Cause my heart's got reason to believe in me and a dream and whatever may come. And as long as I'm breathing, I'll keep believing that I'm not done until my heart stops.
I think it's no secret that I love the Little Words Project bracelets. I have about 6 or 7 on my arm, ones that have been given to me, ones I've bought myself. I love giving them as gifts. I think they're so inspirational for me personally. They're nice little reminders throughout my day to have hope, to be, have strength, to be in good energy. I just love the bracelets so much. I love giving them. I love receiving them. And if you want to check them out and you want to give it as a gift or get one for yourself, you can use our code QTC for 15% off your first order.
Welcome back to Quiet the Clock. Today, as you can see, I am solo. So this will be a solo episode. It's been quite the evening and morning. We had a guest I was super excited about cancel last night, hence why we're using this time to get a solo episode. My babysitter was late, so I had to rush to the train. My makeup artist was late, so I'm late to be here, which I guess it works out that the guest didn't show because I was late. So I'm not quite prepared, but I know I do want to talk about career in this episode. I get questions a lot about what it's like to be a therapist. Did I know I always wanted to be a therapist? So I thought it was important to talk about my career journey and then talk a little bit about how I've seen career anxiety, doubt, worry show up in the therapy space, and some advice I have in terms of finding a career that really aligns with you and brings you joy. So to start with my career journey, I went and graduated from Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, where I majored in business. And the only reason that I majored in business was I had a high school teacher say, if you want to make money, you should, and now here's the word should, you should go into business. So this planted the seed of this is what I should do without any thought of would I like that? What does being in finance mean? What does that even look like? The seed was just planted like this is what I should do. So I majored in business. At my college, you had to declare a major, I think by your sophomore year. And part of the college requirements at my school was a couple lab sciences. So my junior year, second semester, junior year, to fill that requirement of the lab science, I took a psychology class and I fell in love with it. I love that class so much. But at the time, I was already declared as a finance major. I was like, it's too late to switch this up. So I stayed the course of what I should do. I got a little not sidetracked, but I had a little detour in that when I graduated college, I moved to Europe for a year. I was dating, at the time I was dating somebody that played basketball and he went overseas to play basketball and I followed him there and we could do another solo episode on relationships. And so when I moved home, I started to look for jobs in finance because that's what I majored in. That's what this high school teacher had told me that I should do, again, with no reflection, insight, or thought as to, will I even like this? What does this mean? So I started my first and only finance job. I was probably at the time, let's say 22, which was so wild to think how long ago that is now. 22 years exactly. And I was miserable from the start. It was sort of one of these like entry level office back end finance jobs. I think I was making like $32,000 a year. It was very bland. The office space, it was very like beige and cubicles and just kind of depressing. And I remember walking around that office, taking that in, that there was no life to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I spend all my time. And I quickly learned that this wasn't for me. And what came after that thought is what is for me. And, I'll get to kind of how I've seen career anxiety show up in the therapy space, but that becomes a very big question for a lot of people of what is for me. And we kind of identify what isn't for us, but we just are kind of stuck in knowing what is right for me. What is the thing? I was told I should do this. I've been doing this for 2 years. I don't even really know what I've liked. I've never been encouraged to explore what I like or what I'm passionate about. So I spent about 2.5 years at the job. And the silver lining of the job was it was a lot of people my age, kind of just starting out as well. So it was fun, a lot of fun happy hours, a lot of fun, partying and going out. So that part of the job I enjoyed and I appreciated, but I knew it wasn't for me. I knew one of the biggest things for me was at that time I had 2 weeks vacation, and which meant 10 days outside of weekends to choose what I wanted to do for myself. And that really stuck with me. And that really got me that the only freedom or flexibility that I had to choose to do with my time was 10 days out of 365. Obviously not 365 minus weekends, but I started to think about what can give me flexibility, what can give me more choice over my time. And I wasn't really coming up with anything at that point. I just knew that this wasn't right for me. And I also will add, I remember, and I can't even tell you how old this guy was, but we had this little kitchenette area where everybody would congregate to get their water or the coffee or whatever. And I remember this guy so clearly. Every time I met him in the kitchenette, which I think was I felt like all the time, he would say, get out. He's like, get out. You're young. Do something else. He's like, I'm stuck here. He's like, I have a family. I have kids. He's like, get out before you're stuck. Which I will say I want to encourage, and we'll get to this too, is you're never stuck. You're never stuck anywhere. There is always potentially optionality and ways to get unstuck, especially in career. So I remember him so vividly. I realized I don't want to do this anymore. I have zero idea of what I want to do. And that really sparked this journey of discovery, that really sparked this journey of trying and failing, trying and learning, more learning about what I didn't like than what I actually liked. So the next step from this job is a friend of mine worked at NYU. He called me, he said, hey, I know you're looking for something else. This is really not your something else, but it's a step to explore something else, because with the job he was offering me was the opportunity to go to grad school for free. Now, when I say for free, it wasn't really for free. It was a program called tuition remission, I think it was called. So basically I worked for free to go to school for free. And I jumped on that opportunity because I was like, okay, I know this isn't it. I know I have to try something else. And it gave me the opportunity to go back to school and see if there was a different degree that I would be more aligned with and passionate about. And what was really interesting at that time was there was a lot of projection from friends, a lot of judgments on me leaving finance, because I was not the only one sold on the fact that we should do finance and finance is the route. And no shade to people that are in finance and love finance and that is your jam. It wasn't for me. But for every other one of my friends, we were kind of sold this blueprint and this idea. So when I will say, we took this courageous step to move on from something that I knew wasn't for me. I had a lot of people project their own feelings on me of why would you do that? This is a great career path. There's stability, there's money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I might have one person say how are you able to do that? But the risk of leaving was way bigger than the risk for me of staying. I knew I was miserable. I knew that I would cry at my desk or I would cry in the bathroom, and it wasn't for me. So I moved on to this job at NYU, and I was an executive coordinator doing very random kind of things, but I got the opportunity to go back to school, and I went back to school for PR and corporate communications, which now that I'm having this conversation, which is interesting for everybody to reflect on, the value and purpose of every step, even if it's not exactly what you see yourself doing, or even if in the moment you're not very happy doing it, because I met, to this day, my very, very, very best friend at this grad school program. So I do this grad school program, and again, great experience, great friends, have my best friend to this day from that experience. But I finished that degree and I'm like, I also don't think this is it. I had envisioned myself getting a job in PR, corporate communications, and being right back where I was in the finance job. 2 years in, miserable, unhappy, unsure of what I want to do. And just, it wasn't a step forward. It wasn't a step forward in understanding what I really loved, understanding what I would be really passionate about to choose for my life's work. So very shortly after, I think right after finishing that master's, I went into another master's for school counseling because also this idea of like flexibility and freedom was still kind of the leading thing. That kind of was probably the one thing that I could hang my hat on, is like, this is what I want. Whatever I'm going to be doing, I want autonomy, I want flexibility, I want freedom. So then I started thinking, okay, school counseling, like you get summers off, you get winter break, you get spring break. I'm like, this is enough time for me to be able to like enjoy my life and choose what I want to do. So I went back to school for that. I did my internship actually at the high school that I went to. And I did that, and I realized this is not clinical enough for me. My personal experience at the internship was, it felt like a lot of checking the boxes of making sure the kids took the right amount of gym classes, they took enough of the sciences, and it just didn't feel therapeutic and clinical enough for me. So then I went back to school. If you guys aren't catching up on the theme here or the thread, it's like a lot of failure, a lot of trying and not succeeding. Well, I wouldn't even say it like that. It was successful in that I kept learning what I didn't want. And by learning what I didn't want, I kept getting closer to what I wanted. So after that master's, realizing school counseling wasn't clinical enough for me, I went back to school for mental health counseling. And I remember sitting in that class and being hit with this feeling of, this is it. I have found it. I can literally put myself back in that classroom right now. But it was a long trajectory. It was a long time from the moment of realizing finance is not for me to this is for me. Years of trying. And I'm not even going to get into the number of odd jobs I did, like training, I did bartending, I did coaching, I did everything along the way to continue to kind of like make ends meet. But it was a real journey. And it is a journey that I am so proud of. It's a journey that taught me so much about myself. It's a journey that led me to become a therapist and really find what I love. But it was not easy. There was a lot of detours. There was a lot of roadblocks. There was a lot of uncertainty. And when I get this question, I really want to highlight the fact that it was not a linear path. It wasn't an all-knowing of like, I wanted to be a therapist since I was this age. And I'm always so amazed and impressed by people that had that intuition very early on in their life. But that was not me. I had friends that knew they wanted to be teachers and they went to pursue that. They wanted to be lawyers and they pursued that. And for me, it took a little bit longer. And along that way, there was a lot of self-judgment, comparison. It wasn't all like rainbows and butterflies. I looked around at everyone that seemed so established in their careers and so clear on what they wanted to be doing. And because I had made so many leaps and so many changes, I felt so behind everybody else. And where I am now, I will say, if I'm looking at who I was comparing to then, and I put myself now next to them, I think I'm leaps and bounds ahead of where they are in terms of just personal success, satisfaction, happiness, alignment. And that's just to say everybody's timeline is their own. We arrive at our careers in a time that is meant for us. And I really do believe anything before that is so meaningful. All of these building blocks, all of these experiences, all of these people that I've met, all these skills I built doing various different things make me an amazing therapist, make me a good leader, make me a good business owner. So nothing was for waste. And, I hear those narratives show up a lot, especially in the therapist space, especially when we're talking about career anxiety and uncertainty, is nobody wants to waste any time. And I look at my journey, and while it took a lot of time, I think no time was wasted at all, because every one of those experiences were important, had to happen, were valuable, brought me to where I am now. And I always say, if you don't know what you want to do, sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't like. And that was my journey. I literally, when I started on this journey to understand what I actually wanted to do for work, I literally had no clue. I was way more clear on the things that I didn't like doing, really clear on the fact that I didn't want to have only 10 days of vacation. That was super clear to me. But I didn't allow that not knowing to leave me stuck in that. And that's what I see a lot. I've seen that a lot with clients that I work with. It's this idea of like, I've put so much into this career. I thought that this is what I would want to do forever. There is disappointment in sort of arriving at this career or arriving at like the pinnacle of their career and realizing, I don't really enjoy this. I don't really want to do this, but there's parts of this I'm good at, and I don't know what else I'm good at. And there's a lot of stuckness that comes from that. And I really have done a lot of great work with my clients to get unstuck, and have shared, where it's appropriate. I've shared my journey of sometimes we have to get out there and try. Sometimes we have to get out there and fail, because in every effort of trying and every failure, we learn something. And I certainly learned something from every one of those experiences, whether it was school, whether it was a side job, whatever it was, I took something from it, and I kept going down the path until I felt it and I knew. And again, sitting in that classroom was that moment for me. So if you are someone that feels stuck in their career, you're not really sure where to start, you don't feel like you're really good at anything else, or you don't really know what you actually enjoy, I encourage you to start paying attention to, paying attention to your body, because our body gives us so many cues. And when I work with my clients, I always encourage them to bring more awareness to when your body feels relaxed, when your nervous system feels good, when you feel lit up, when you feel excited about something. And even in your current job, there are probably things that light you up. There's probably parts of your job that you really do enjoy. For example, sometimes I don't know what people do, like what happens in finance or marketing or any other jobs, but say, for example, you're in marketing and there's something about relationship management or working with companies that you really enjoy, and something about that connection and people aspect, like lean into that, try to understand, what about that do I like? What parts of that do I like? If there's things that you really hate, lean into that too. Understand, what don't I like about this? Where does this feel really misaligned? And you can start to create a clearer vision of kind of, what direction do I go in? So I do encourage anybody that is feeling this way to start to look at both things and start yourself a list. Start yourself a list of like, these are the things I don't like. I don't like remote work. I don't like in-person work. I like hybrid. And I think part of the problem is that we get so stuck in like, I hate it here, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start, that we're not starting to tune in and be attentive to, what can I learn while I'm still in this experience? Because you also don't need to do what I did. And I will recognize and say, at the age of 22, there's probably more ability to be risky, to take risks, to change directions, to change course. But I don't know. I don't know if I fully believe in that, because I don't know. I think there's always opportunity to kind of change course no matter what's happening, but maybe there's a caveat there. But yeah, I think I didn't have the responsibilities I have now, is in terms of partnership and motherhood and home ownership, that there was a little bit more flexibility and freedom to keep trying. But if taking sort of the leaps I did or the risks I took, or if you're someone that is risk averse, does not sound like something you can do, there's still a lot you can learn in your current situation. There's still a lot you can gather, information you can build and reflect on to help start to guide you. What are you good at? What would light you up? The other thing you can do is I have my clients do this exercise. It's like, let's dream big. If we just remove all the limiting beliefs, remove all the narratives that make you feel really stuck and nothing is possible. Remove all the narratives that tell you like, there's no way I can do this. If you take all those away, what is the vision? Let's build the vision of what is ideal for you. And then let's then build a roadmap to get there. What happens a lot is that we can't see outside our limiting beliefs. We can't see outside the narratives that create a lot of fear and anxiety. So create your big vision, remove all the barriers, all the limiting beliefs, tune in your current situation, tune into your body, bring more awareness to what do I like? What parts of my job light me up? What parts of my job do I feel really aligned with? And then what parts of my job do I really just hate, right? I am not which is ironic because now I do sit in front of the computer a lot, but like I'm not a sit in front of the computer person, but you might like thrive with Excel sheets. So start to make your list and build awareness. And that's going to give you more direction of like, what do I enjoy? What are my strengths? How do I want to, and the vision is going to give you, how do I want to spend my days? Do I want to spend my days working remotely? Do I want to spend my days in meetings with people, being creative and collaborating and having that connection? Get out of the stuckness of, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. It's all overwhelming. It gives me so much anxiety. I have had clients, unfortunately, stay in that stuckness for so long. And I'll always say, the biggest waste of time, because there is a big narrative around, I don't want to waste any time and I'm already behind. And if I start over new, I'm going to be even more behind. The biggest waste of time is staying in something that doesn't serve you anymore. And so you can sit in that and stir in that and stay there in all those narratives and watch a lot of time go by. And so the better use of your time is start trying. If you even, if you can't get out of your current situation immediately, do these exercises. They'll give you a lot of insight. You can create a side hustle if you have the time. There's a plethora of opportunities in New York City to do events, attend workshops or webinars where you can learn more about potential jobs. You can reach out to people on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, your job seems really cool. Like, would you mind getting on a call for 15 minutes and telling me more about it? So there are things that you can do now to give you more direction and guidance in career path. The other thing I will tell you that I've seen come up a lot is a lot of grief and disappointment in arriving at a job you thought would be it. And it's certainly so valid and certainly something that should be grieved and processed. I've had so many clients put years into a master's, put years into climbing the corporate ladder to get to this dream career they thought would be it, to arrive there and say, oh my gosh, this isn't it. And there is a lot of grief in that. And I think it is very important to grieve that, to process that, but still give yourself permission to move on from that. And it's okay to leave a job that you thought would have been the end all be all for you when you realize it's not the end all be all for you. What I'll say for myself is I'm so grateful for my career. I'm so grateful for what it took to get me here. And I really am truly blessed with a schedule that is totally mine and totally in my control. A lot of flexibility and freedom around that. A lot of opportunities and chances to work with and connect with people that are so cool and so exciting and so inspiring. But that did not come to be without this path and this willingness to take some leaps and risks and to understand and tune in to what mattered to me, what was important to me. So if you're here and this is resonating with you, please feel free also to reach out to me. I'm always happy to share more about my story and my journey and how I came to be a therapist. But, when I get that question, I always say the question of like, how did you become a therapist, or did you always know you wanted to be a therapist? The answer is no. I literally, coming out of college, had zero idea what I wanted to do. I literally had zero idea what I wanted to do at 30. I had zero idea what I wanted to do I think I found mental health counseling probably at maybe 30, 31. And I hope for people listening that that's reassuring to them. Maybe you are, 28, 29, and you're feeling this way. Like there's always time to figure it out. There's always time. And I'm still figuring it out. I never imagined that I would do a podcast, but I continue to stay open and in tune to opportunities that are going to excite me. I don't stay too rigid in that, okay, now I'm a therapist. I'm only a therapist. I started as a solo practitioner. Now I have a group practice. I focused on the group practice for so many years and my caseload. And, I did start to get a little burnt out from that, especially post-COVID, because I never wanted to do therapy in front of a screen. And I allowed myself to tune into that because even though I have my dream job and I love being a therapist, there got to be a point where it wasn't as fulfilling anymore. Holding a caseload of 30 wasn't what I had capacity for. And instead of beating myself up about that, instead of judging those thoughts, I got curious about those thoughts and tried to again understand what is it that I want to do? What else do I want to try? And I never knew this would be a podcast, but here it is. It's a podcast. And this is also just the start for me too. I think there's going to be other things that I want to do and try. And I'm going to give myself permission to be open to what that is and not be so rooted and rigid in like, this is it and this is forever. So offering some flexibility and openness to, changing, trying, leaving. It's really important because everyone does deserve to do something that lights them up. Everybody deserves to spend their days in a way that is supportive to their mental health, supportive to their nervous system, fun, enjoyable, not toxic. Oh my gosh, you guys, the amount of times I heard from clients about these like terribly toxic work environments was really concerning and upsetting, and no one deserves to work in environments like that. So I would ask yourself are you truly happy in your career? What is holding you back if you're not from trying something else or exploring something else? What are the fears? What are the narratives that come up? And start to do the visualization exercise and the awareness exercises that I mentioned here and see what you learn from those. Because it is all so possible. And I've heard so much from my clients, this feeling of that it's not like, this is good enough. Like it's the stable paycheck. I have good benefits. But there's always a but. I'm not happy. I hate my manager. I hate the commute. There's always something that is bringing a strong sense of unhappiness. So I really encourage you to give yourself permission to start to think about something else. What would make you happier? The other thing I'll add is I want to acknowledge and add that it is not always possible to do this. It's not always possible to just jump and leave your career. So I always like to tell people, if it's not possible, if it's really bringing you down, let's balance your life out with other things that will alleviate the stress and anxiety of this job. So sometimes we work so hard and we so closely align our identity to work. And then when work is miserable, that becomes really problematic. So we have to like disentangle our identity from the job. If it's a job we don't enjoy, we should probably do that anyway, even if we enjoy our job, but start to balance it out with other things, whether that's more hobbies, whether that's more travel if possible, if that's connections outside of work that light you up, if that's volunteer opportunities outside of work. So we have to build sort of this balance. So it's not the tipping scale of like, work is so miserable, but it's the only thing I do and I'm focused on, and my whole identity is placed there. This is the last thing I want to say. I'm referring to my journey as like these risks, but everything was pretty calculated. Like I would never just jump without a plan. I would never leave something without like the footing on something else. So every risk was a calculated risk and a well thought out risk, because I never wanted to leave myself in a place where I couldn't support myself. I couldn't pay my bills. So if big leaps and risks are really scary for you, it's so possible to do this by taking strategic and calculated risks and one small step at a time. Okay, I hope this is really helpful. If anyone has more questions about my career journey or career advice, please feel free to always DM me. Thank you for listening. Hi everyone, it's Beth, your favorite therapist, or at least I hope I am, and host of Quiet the Clock. I am so excited to share the secret of my glowing skin with all of you. Lumine Face Pro. This amazing device has completely transformed my skin, and I've noticed a real difference in tone and texture in such a short amount of time. Lumine Face Pro uses advanced microcurrent technology to gently stimulate your facial muscles, promoting collagen production and improving skin elasticity. I mean, amazing. The device is also equipped with LED light therapy, which helps reduce wrinkles and fine lines and promotes cell regeneration. Hello, so perfect for this 43-year-old mama. I need every ounce of this. With regular use, Lumine Face Pro can help you achieve a smoother, brighter, and more even skin tone. It's so easy to use and safe on any skin type. Invest in your skin and experience the difference with Lumine Face Pro. Visit blumine.com today to learn more and order yours. Use the code QTC at checkout to get $30 off your first order. I mean, what a deal. $30 off your first order. I hope you guys run to blumine.com and get yours and love it as much as I do.
Hey guys, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Quiet the Clock. If you want to hear more episodes and learn more about how to dismantle societal timelines, live life on your own terms, live life fully and authentically, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Quiet the Clock Pod. You guys, I'm really excited. We just created all this amazing merch. And so if you're loving the podcast and you want to support our cause and continue to hear amazing episodes, please support us by buying some merch. I am living in these sweatshirts every day. We have a range of colors. We have hoodies, we have mugs, we have hats, we have journals. We have all of the things, and I love having them on because it's just a reminder to quiet the clock, to slow down, to like let life unfold and be happy. So there's meaning and purpose behind wearing it too, which is a nice reminder. So check out our website, quiettheclock.com, to get your merch.